Alright, here we go again. Practice exam 2. Overall number 4. You are a solutions architect working with a company that uses Chef configuration management in their data center, which service is designed to let customers leverage TopsWorks. You work for a leading university as an AWS infrastructure engineer and also as a professor to aspiring AWS architects. As a way to familiarize your students with AWS, you gave them a project to host their applications to on EC2 instance. One of your students created an instance to host their online enrollment system project, but is having a hard time connecting to the newly created EC2 instance. Your students have explored all the troubleshooting guides at AWS. Which of the following can you use to log?
What?
I wouldn't try. Yeah, I think that's good enough. It's not moving anywhere, is it? After that? Alright. Huh? Yeah, I fixed it because I pushed up my big ass feet. Making use of our stopper dopper. Unopened stopper gopper dop. What's the name of it? It has a name. It has some funky name that has the word like stop in it. Read the name on it if it's still there. Alright. Alright. Again, you're working as leading at a leading university, blah blah, you give your students projects to go to EC2. They can't connect to EC2, why not? What could it be? Connecting to the newly created EC2 instance. Your students have explored all the troubleshooting guides on AWS and narrowed down to login issues. Which of the following can you use to log into an EC2 instance? Choose? Okay. A company is planning to launch an application that requires a data warehouse that will be used for which requires a data warehouse that will be used for their infrequently accessed data. You need to use an AWS volume that can handle large sequential I/O operations. Which of the following is the most cost-effective storage type that you should use to meet the requirements? Cost effective, handle large sequenced. It's HDD. Cold. I'll try ST1. What's up?
Is everything in the dishwasher?
Everything in the dishwasher is ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah. No need to rewash. Sans one plate, but it doesn't matter. I just wanted to use that plate as a test. I'm gonna choose throughput optimized hard drive disk. You're building a transcription service for a company in which a fleet of EC2 worker instances process and upload audio file. Okay. You're building a transcription service for a company in which a fleet of EC2 worker instances process an uploaded audio file and generate a text file as output. You must store both these frequently accessed files in the same durable storage until the next file is retrieved by an uploader. Due to an expected surge in demand, you have to ensure that the storage is scalable and can be retrieved within minutes. Which storage option in AWS can you use for this situation? Frequently accessed, durable, frequently accessed within minutes. Takes minutes. Cost efficient and scalable. At this point, I'd say Glacier. But I don't know how long it takes to get stuff out of Glacier. As an AWS cloud consultant working for a record company, you are building an application that will store both key value store and document models like band ID. Which AWS service do I use? Definitely Dynamo. The operations team of your company asks you for a way to monitor the health of your production EC2 instances in AWS. You told them to use CloudWatch. Which of the following metrics is not available by default? Mem usage. A startup company has a serverless architecture that uses Lambda, Gateway, and DynamoDB. They received an urgent feature request from their client last month, and now it is ready to be pushed to production. The company is using AWS CodeDeploy as their deployment service. Which of the following configuration types will allow you to specify the percentage of traffic shifted? Allow you to specify the percentage of traffic shifted to your updated Lambda function version before the remaining traffic is shifted to this in the second increment. Which of the following configuration types will allow you to specify the percentage of traffic shifted to your updated Lambda function version before the remaining traffic is shifted in the second increment? I would think that's blue-green. A startup company uses Lambda API Gateway and DynamoDB. They received an urgent feature request from their client last month, and now it is ready to be pushed to production. The company is using CodeDeploy as a deployment service. Might be Canary, might be blue-green, don't know. A media company has two VPCs, VPC1 and VPC2, with peering connection between each other. And VPC1 contains private subnets, and VPC only contains public ones. The company uses a single AWS Direct Connect connection and a virtual interface to connect their on-prem network with VPC1. Which of the following options increase the fault tolerance of the connection to VPC1? Select all that apply. Use the AWS VPN Cloud Hub to create a new AWS connection and private virtual interface in the same region as VPC2. I don't know about that. Fault tolerance. Establish a hardware VPN over the internet between VPC1 and the on-prem network. Establish a hardware VPN over internet between VPC2. Establish a new AWS Direct Connect connection and private virtual interface in the same region as VPC2. Establish another Direct Connect connection and private virtual interface in the same AWS region as VPC1. So I'm going to repeat. A media company has two VPCs, VPC1 and 2, with peering connection between each other. One contains private subnets, 2 contains public. The company uses Direct Connect connection and a virtual interface to connect their on-prem network to 1. Direct Connect to 1. Which of the following options increases the fault tolerance of the connection to VPC1? Another one. Cloud Hub to create a new AWS connection and private virtual. I think of these two. An online events registration system is hosted in AWS and uses ECS to host its front-end tier and a multi-AZ RDS for its database tier, which also has a standby replica. Which are the events that will make Amazon RDS automatically perform a failover to the standby replica? Choose 2. Loss of availability in the primary availability zone. Storage failure on a primary. Storage fail. Only 2? What are the events that will make Amazon RDS automatically perform a failover to the standby? I think these two. One of your EC2 instances is reporting an unhealthy system status check. The operations team is looking for an easier way to monitor and repair these instances instead of fixing them manually. How will you automate the monitoring and repair of a system status check failure in an AWS environment?
Couldn't recognize the skinny, the sunken, the complexion, my weakened, frigid fingers, but a memory still lingers. The prettiest of days when I was wide awake, colored by sun rays, my smile wasn't fake.
I think the CloudWatch alarms is good enough.
My ache sunk in the lake, extremity shake for my drowning security. Tucked in my grave.
As a network architect developing a food ordering application, you need to retrieve the instance ID, public keys, and public IP address of an EC2 server you made for tagging and grouping the attributes into your internal application running on-prem. Whoa. Which EC2 feature will help you achieve that? You need to retrieve instance ID, public keys, public IP address of the EC2 server. Instance metadata, maybe. Yeah. You are working for a central bank as a principal AWS Solutions Arc. Due to compliance requirements and security concerns, you are tasked to implement strict access to the central bank's AWS resources using AWS Identify IAM. Which of the following can you manage in the dashboard? Nah. In the IAM dashboard? Only 2? Maybe groups. Maybe identity providers. I don't think security groups. I don't think network access control list. Already? Thank you.
Once my home, now agitated, the fear, it came, it infiltrated. I am conquered now.
Because security groups are definitely under VPC. Network access control list are probably under VPC 2. I'm gonna look this one up. For the VPC. I don't think that IAM groups are something. This is probably either cost allocation or groups that I'm missing. Your fellow AWS engineer has created a new standard class S3 bucket to store financial reports that are not frequently accessed but should be immediately available when an auditor requests for it. To save costs, you change the storage class of the S3 bucket from standard to infrequent access storage class. In S3 standard infrequent access storage class, which of the following statements are true? Choose 2. It is designed for data that is accessed less frequently. I think that's it. It is the best storage option to store non-critical and reproducible data. It is designed for data that requires rapid access when needed. It provides high latency and low throughput performance. Ideal to use for data archiving. I think these two. You are instructed by your manager to set up a Bastion host in your Amazon VPC, and it should only be accessed from the corporate data center via SSH. What is the best way for you to achieve this? Create a large EC2 instance with a security group which only allows access on port 22 using your own pre-configured password. Create a large EC2 instance, create a small with a security group which only allows access port 22 via the IP address of the corporate data center using a PEM file. That looks better. Create a small EC2 instance with a security group which allows only access port 20. Okay. Create a small EC2 instance and a security group which only allows a Bastion host. Maybe I don't want it to be large. In that case, I'm just gonna make it small. You're building a cloud infrastructure where you have EC2 instances that require access to various AWS services such as S3 and Redshift. You also need to provision access to system admins so they can deploy and test their changes. Which configuration should be used to ensure that the access to your resources are secured and not compromised? Definitely that. That the access of your resources are secured and not compromised? Yeah, these two. You want to establish as an SSH connection to the Linux host instance hosted in your VPC via internet. Which of the following is not required in order for this to work? I think it's secondary private IP address. We need one primary. You're working as a cloud consultant for a government agency with a mandate of improving traffic planning, maintenance of roadways, and preventing accidents. There is a need to manage traffic infrastructure in real time, alert traffic engineers and emergency response teams when problems are detected, and automatically change traffic signals to get emergency personnel to accident scenes faster by using sensors and smart devices. Which AWS service will allow the developers of the agency to connect the said devices to your cloud-based application? Definitely IoT Core. You need to back up your MySQL database hosted on a reserved EC2 instance. It is using EBS volumes that are configured in RAID array. What step will you take to minimize the time during which the database cannot be written to and to ensure consistent backup? Detach the volume? Start EBS snapshot, reattach volume. Stop all applications from writing. Flush all caches to disk. Confirm that the associated EC2 instance is no longer running the RAID array. Blah blah blah. After taking steps to halt disk read, all disk related activity, you can take a snapshot. I like that one. Stop all activity in the volumes. Create an image of the EC2 instance. No. Stop all. Start EBS snapshot of volumes. Write the snapshot. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. After taking the steps to halt all disk related activity. Minimize the time during which the database cannot be written to and to ensure consistent backup. After taking steps to all disk, take a snapshot volume. I like this one because it says while the snapshots are in progress, resume the IO activity. And this one doesn't say that. And it's specifically asking what steps will you take to minimize the time during which the database cannot be written to and to ensure consistent backup. Like, this is very verbose. Like, flushing all the caches to disk. Rough. You're developing a meal planning application that provides meal recommendations for the week as well as food consumption for your users or of your users. Your application resides in an EC2 instance which requires access to various AWS services for its day-to-day ops. Which of the following is the best way to allow your EC2 instance to access your S3 bucket and other AWS services? A role. A role. Your company just recently adopted a hybrid architecture that integrates their on-prem data center to the AWS cloud. You are assigned to configure the VPC as well as to implement the required IAM users, IAM roles, IAM groups, IAM policies. In this scenario, what's the best practice when creating the IAM policies? Least privilege principle, which means granting only permissions required to perform a task. User principle least privilege, which means granting only the least number. Determine what users need to do and then craft policies for them that let the users perform those tasks, including additional administrative operations. And pause right here. Here we go again. Resuming. Resume test. Oh, this is the one that's like, oh, your company just recently adopted a hybrid architecture that integrates on-prem data center into their cloud, whatever you're assigned to configure VPC as well as to implement the required IAM policies. How do you do it? Least privilege principle, let's go. You're working as a solutions architect for a startup company that has a not-for-profit crowdfunding platform hosted in AWS. Their platform allows people around the globe to raise money for social enterprise projects, including challenging circumstances like accidents and illness. Since the system handles financial transactions, you have to ensure that your cloud architecture is secure. Which of the following AWS services encrypts data at rest by default? By default? I mean, I can pick these two. I don't feel like the other ones do. This is storage service, this is a compute solution, this is a compute solution, and this is something in front of storage solutions, I think. You run a website which accepts high quality photos and turns them into downloadable video montage. The website offers a free account and a premium account that guarantees faster processing. All requests by both free and premium members go through a single SQS queue and then processed by a group of EC2 instances which generate the videos. You need to ensure that the premium users who paid for the service have a higher priority than your free members. How do you redesign your architecture to address this requirement? So for the request made by premium members, set a higher priority in the SQS queue so that it may be processed first compared to the result. Sounds good. Create an SQS queue for free members, another one for premium members. Configure your EC2 instances to consume messages. All requests by both free and premium go through a single SQS queue. You need to ensure that premium users who pay for the service have higher priority than your... How do you redesign? Give it higher priority. You don't need to create a new one. Configure EC2 instances to consume messages on the premium queue first, and if it is empty, pull for the free members SQS queue. Use Amazon Kinesis to process photos and generate video montage in real time. Use AWS Amazon S3 to store and process photos and generate the video. Just create, yeah. An ELB. There are various security features that you can use, such as server order preference, predefined security policy, perfect forward secrecy, and many others. Perfect forward secrecy is a feature that provides additional safeguards against the eavesdropping of encrypted data through the use of a unique random session key. This prevents the decoding of captured data even if the secret long-term key is compromised. perfect forward secrecy is used to offer SSL TLS cipher suites for which two services? They're already telling you the ELB has it. And they're like front piece, so I'm thinking they would be out front in the ELB. One member of your DevOps team consulted you about a problem connecting to one of the EC2 instances in the VPC over the internet. Your environment is set up with 4 EC2 instances that all belong to the public subnet. The EC2 instances also belong to the same security group. Everything works as well except for one of the EC2 instances, which is not able to send or receive traffic over the internet like the other 3 instances. What could be the problem? What could be the problem? The route table is not properly configured to allow traffic to and from the internet through the internet gateway? No. EC2 instance is running in an available zone that is not connected to the internet. That's possible. EC2 instance does not have a private IP, does not have a public. Well, let's just do that. I mean, they say they have a... I just don't think it has an IP associated with it. That's all. You have a data analytics application that updates a real-time foreign exchange dashboard and another separate application that archives data to Amazon Redshift. Both apps are configured to consume data from the same stream concurrently and independently using Kinesis data streams. However, you notice that there are a lot of occurrences where a shard iterator expires unexpectedly. Upon checking, you found out the DynamoDB table used by Kinesis does not have enough capacity to store the lease data. Most suitable solution because DynamoDB table used by Kinesis does not have enough capacity to store the lease data. Increase the write capacity assigned to the shard table. Upgrade the storage capacity of the DynamoDB table. Enable in-mem acceleration in DAX. Use Kinesis data analytics to properly support the data analytics application instead of Kinesis data stream. I mean, I like this answer, but my second answer would be to increase the write capacity. But what does it say? You found out users that have enough capacity to store. Next, you have 2 on-demand EC2 instances inside your VPC. Well, let me go back. I need a notepad. Revisit 25. You have 2 on-demand EC2 instances inside of your VPC in the same availability zone, but are deployed to different subnets. One EC2 instance is running a database and the other instance is a web app that connects with the database. You want to ensure that these 2 instances can communicate with each other for a system to work properly. What are the things you have to check? You have to choose to so that the EC2 instance can communicate inside the VPC. Check if you can communicate between the 2 subnets. That's nice. Check if both have the same instance class. That's not important. Check if the default route is set in that instance or in our gateway for the... No. Maybe. Check if all security groups are set to allow application host to communicate to the database on the right port and protocol. Ensure that the EC2 instances are in the same placement group. I don't... that's wrong because they're already like... Yeah. But that would be interesting. Alright, I'm gonna say it's check if the security groups can talk on the application level and then knackles between the 2 subnets. You developed the web application and deployed it on a fleet of EC2 instances, which is using Amazon SQS. The requests are saved as messages in the SQS queue, which is configured with a maximum message retention period. However, after 13 days of operation, the web app suddenly crashed, and there are 10,000 unprocessed messages still waiting in the queue. Since you developed the application, you can easily resolve the issue, but you need to send a communication to the users on the issue. What information will you provide, and what will happen to the unprocessed messages? Tell the users unfortunately they have to resubmit all their requests. Tell the user the application will be operational shortly. However, requests sent over 3 days ago will need to be resubmitted. Tell users that the application will be operational shortly, and all received requests will be processed after web application is restarted. Tell the users that unfortunately they have to resubmit all the requests since the queue would not be able to process the 10,000 messages together. After 13 days of operation, the web app suddenly crashed and there are 10,000 unprocessed messages are still waiting on the queue. Since you developed the application, you can easily resolve the issue, but you need to send a communication. Well, we still have another day for the 10,000 unprocessed messages. I think they last for 14 days. I would not tell them anything about the messages. Just tell them that they'll be operational shortly. That's it. You have started your new role as a solutions arc for a media company. They host large volumes of data for their operations, which are about 250 terabytes in size on their internal servers. They have decided to store this data on S3 because of its durability and redundancy. The company currently has a 100 megabits per second dedicated line connecting to their head office to the internet. What is the fastest way to improve all this data import? I guess Snowball. Direct connect? I don't know, it's either... I don't know which one it would be. I don't know, maybe it's direct connect, or maybe it's Snowball, or data pipeline, who knows. I'm gonna go with direct connect in this case. You're working as a solutions architect. Might be Snowball though. Double check. Without available high-speed internet links, it can take months to transfer a large amount. For example, 100 terabytes of data will take more than 100 days to transfer over dedicated. The same transfer can have less than 1 week plus shipping time using 2 Snowball devices. I guess you can't use direct connect. Too slow. Snowball versus direct connect speed. When should I consider using Snowball instead of AWS Direct Connect? It provides you with dedicated fast connections from your premises to AWS network if you need to transfer large quantities of data. Might be the right choice. Not telling me anything. one-off operations is snowball. What? They also blah 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 blah. They have decided to store this data as S3 because of the durability the company currently has. Nah, I'm not feeling this at all. I don't know. I'm gonna say snowball this time. Second answer would be Direct Connect. You are working as a solutions architect for a leading commercial bank which has recently adopted a hybrid cloud architecture. You have to ensure that the required data security is in place for all their AWS resources to meet the strict financial regulatory requirements in the AWS shared responsibility model. Which security aspects are the responsibilities of the customer? Only two? I think these two. A corporate and investment bank has recently decided to adopt a hybrid cloud architecture for the trade finance web application, which uses Oracle database with Oracle Real Application Clusters rack configuration. Since Oracle RAC is not supported in RDS, they decided to launch their database in a large on-demand EC2 instance instead, with multiple EBS volumes attached. As a solutions arc, you are responsible to ensure the security, availability, scalability, and disaster recovery of the whole arc. In this scenario, which of the following will enable you to take backups of your EBS volumes that are being used by Oracle database? What? Which of the following will enable you to take backups of your EBS volumes that are big snapshots? I'll just create snapshots. You're working as a solutions architect for an investment bank and your chief technical officer intends to migrate all of your applications to AWS. You're looking for block storage to store all of your data and have decided to go with EBS volumes. Your boss is worried that EBS volumes are not appropriate for your workloads due to compliance requirements, downtime scenarios, and IOPS performance. Which of the following are valid points in proving that EBS is the best service for your migration? You created an EBS volume AZ is automatically replicated on a separate AWS region to prevent data loss. I don't know about that. EBS volumes can be attached to any EC2 instance. Yeah. An EBS volume is off instance storage that can persist independently from the life of the instance. Duh. EBS volumes support live configuration changes while in production, which means that you can modify the volume type, volume size, and IOP. I don't think about that. Amazon EBS provides the ability to create snapshots, backups, but the data where it's stored redundantly in multiple. Oh, that's nice. I think it's these three. I don't know if it's automatically replicated on separate regions. That sounds ridiculous. And then EBS volume support live configuration changes. I don't think that's true. I think you have to reconnect or create a new one. Company has a top priority requirement to monitor a few database metrics and then afterwards send email notifications to the operations team in case there's an issue. Which AWS services can accomplish this? Email notifications. Can you send emails? SNS to send emails? Because we send emails with SNS actually. Choose two. Wow. Alright. Well, CloudWatch and Simple Email Service then. Alright. You're a solutions arc of a multinational gaming company which develops video games for PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch consoles, plus a number of mobile games for Android and iOS. Due to the wide range of their products and services, you proposed that they use API Gateway. Whoa. What are the key features of API Gateway you can tell your client? Alright, whoa. You pay only for the API calls and the amount of data transferred out. I don't know about data transferred out, but I know you get paid for the calls. You can run your APIs without any servers. That's true. You can run your APIs with quantum computer servers. It automatically provides a query language for APIs similar to GraphQL. I don't think that's true. So I think you pay for the API calls you receive and the amount of data transferred out. And you can run your APIs without any servers. A web app which is used by your clients around the world is hosted in an auto-scaling group of EC2 instances behind a classic load balancer. You need to secure your application by allowing multiple domains to serve SSL traffic over the same IP. Which of the following should you do to meet the listener needs multiple certificates? Use server name indication on your classic load balancer by adding multiple SSL certificates to allow multiple domains to serve SSL traffic. That sounds right, but probably not. You generate SSL cert in the cert manager, or create a CloudFront web distribution. Associate the certificate with your web distribution and enable the support for server name identification. By adding multiple SSL certificates to allow multiple domains? I don't know if that's possible even. You just put a bunch of different names on there. Use Elastic IP, upload multiple third-party certs in your classic load balancer using Cert Manager. It is not possible to allow multiple domains to serve SSL traffic over the same IP address in AWS. That sounds crazy. So I need to secure my application by allowing multiple domains to serve SSL traffic over the same IP. Generate SSL cert in certificate manager and create a CloudFront web distribution. Associate the cert with your web distribution and enable the support for server. A web application, blah 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 blah, hosted auto-scaling group. The thing is, this is implying use a new service, CloudFront. I don't want to use a new service. I don't know if the classic load balancer is. I'm gonna select this, but it might very well be this, the one with the CloudFront web distribution. You have a static corporate website hosted in a standard S3 bucket and a new web domain name which was registered using Route 53. And a new web domain name which was registered using Route 53. You are instructed by your manager to integrate these two services in order to successfully launch their corporate website. What are the prereqs when routing traffic using Route 53 to a website that is hosted in Amazon S3 bucket? I don't think you have to do anything. The S3 bucket name must be the same as the domain name. That would be some interesting thing. Registered domain name. What are the prerequisites when routing traffic using Amazon Route 53? To a website that's hosted on S3 bucket. I don't know if there's CORS options on S3 buckets. This sounds bad because you might have multiple S3 buckets you're trying to serve from. Registered domain name. You definitely need a domain name. And maybe CORS needs to be enabled on the S3 bucket. Must be in the same region as the hosted zone. Not sure about that. I don't think we're hosting anything in this case. That bucket is self-hosted. You have a static corporate website hosted in a standard S3 bucket and a new domain name which was registered using Route 53. You're instructed by your manager to integrate these two services in order to successfully launch. What are the prereqs on routing traffic using Route 53 to a website that's hosted on a bucket? We just got the name. Oh, fuck it. Mail. That's so stupid. The S3 bucket must be in the same region as the hosted zone. Thinking. That might be the case. We already said we had a registered domain name. When routing traffic using Route 53 to a website that is hosted. I'm starting to believe that it doesn't matter what zone the bucket's in, because no zone region the bucket is in, because it's directly in the URL to the bucket. I'm just gonna select these two. Software company has resources hosted in AWS and on-prem servers. You have been requested to create a decoupled architecture for applications which make use of both resources. So we have resources hosted in AWS and on-prem. Which of the following options are valid? Choose two. A decoupled architecture for applications which make use of both resources? No coupling, but making use of both resources. I use SWF to utilize both on-prem servers and EC2 instances. RDS to utilize both on-prem servers and EC2 instances. SQS, simple decoupling service. I don't even know if that's a thing. To utilize both on-prem servers and EC2 instances. Where you're decoupled. I would say SWF. I have no clue what that is. DynamoDB. No. It might be RDS. It might be SWF. I don't know about simple decoupling service. You got two? I gotta look this up. Well, I'm gonna say SWF and SQS in this case, only because reasons. You are an AWS network engineer working for a utilities provider where you are managing a monolithic application with EC2 instance using a Windows AMI. A monolithic application with EC2 instance. You want to implement a cost-effective and highly available architecture for your application. We have the exact replica of the Windows server that is running in a running state. If the primary instance terminates, you can attach the ENI to the standby secondary instance, which allows for the traffic flow to resume. When it comes to the ENI attachment to the EC2 instance, what does warm attach refer to? I think it means like attaching an ENI to an instance when it's idle, not when it's stopped. But who knows? You have built a web app that checks for new items in an S3 bucket once every hour. You have built a web app that checks for new items in an S3 bucket once every hour. If new items exist, the message is added to SQS queue. You have a fleet of instances which retrieve the messages from the queue, process the file, and finally send you and the user an email confirmation that the item has successfully processed. Your office may upload one test file to S3 bucket, and after a couple hours, you notice that you and your office may have 50 emails from the application with the same message. That's so funny. There's definitely a bug in the application. Default SQL automatically deletes the messages that were processed by the consumers. Your application does not issue a delete command to SQS queue after processing the message, which is why the message went back to the queue. It could be processed, yeah. By default, SQS automatically deletes the messages that were processed by the consumers. It might be possible that your office may semester. It's this. Your application does not issue a delete command to the queue. It's funny because the consumer. You're working for a litigation firm as a data engineer for their case history application. You need to keep track of all the cases your firm has handled. The static assets like JPEG, PNG, and PDF files are stored in S3 for cost efficiency and high durability. As these files are critical to your business, you want to keep track of what's happening in your S3 bucket. You found out that S3 has an event notification whenever a delete or write happens within. What are the possible event notification destinations? Oh man, you probably can do a lot of things. You probably send SQS. Maybe what are the possible event notification destinations? You can only choose 2. You might be able to pass it directly to a Lambda function, but I don't know. It'll be interesting if you can go directly to what are the possible event notification destinations available for S3 buckets? I would say SQS and a Lambda function in this case. Could very well be Kinesis and SQS. I'll only choose 2. There might be like S3 streams thing like DynamoDB has. It makes sense for it to be SQS and Kinesis though. Let's look this one up. S3 event. SNS and SQS, then AWS Lambda. SNS, SQS, and then Lambda. I mean, I think I got it right then. You have a new dynamic web app written in a mean stack that is going to be launched the next month. There is a probability that the traffic will be quite high in the first couple of weeks. In the event of a load failure, how can you set up DNS failover to a static website? If it's a static website, just put a freaking CloudFront in front of it. Duplicate the exact application architecture in another region, configure DNS weight-based routing. An event of load failure, that doesn't mean it like explodes. Use Route 52 with a failover option to a static S3 website bucket or CloudFront distribution. The static S3. Wait, you have a dynamic web app written in mean stack that's going to be launched next month. There's a probability that the traffic will be quite high in the event of load failure. How can you set up DNS failover to a static website? A static website? Express is going to be static in this case? Angular? Oh my god. I mean, with a failure option to a static S3 website bucket or CloudFront distribution, that's what I would do. I wouldn't do these duplicating things. As a junior software engineer, you're developing a hotel reservations application and are given the task of improving the database aspect of the app. You found out that RDS does not satisfy the needs of your application because it does not scale as easily compared to DynamoDB. You need to demonstrate to your senior software engineer the advantage of using DynamoDB over RDS. What are the valid cases? DynamoDB? Can't do SQL. You can manage web sessions. You can store metadata. You can't do any of these. There we go. You are working for a large telecommunications company. They have the requirement to move 83 terabytes data warehouse to the cloud. It would take 2 months to transfer the data given their current bandwidth allocation. Which is the most cost-effective service will allow you to quickly upload their data? Quickly? I don't know what Snowball Edge is. Probably Snowball. You work for an intelligence agency as its principal consultant developing a missiles tracking application. What is this? Alright. You work for an intelligence agency as a principal consultant developing a missiles tracking application, which is hosted on both development and production AWS accounts. Alice, the intelligence agency's junior developer, only has access to the development account. She has received security clearance to access the agency's production account, but the access is only temporary and only write access to EC2 and S3 is allowed. Which of the following allows you to ensure short-lived access tokens that act as temporary security credentials to allow access to your AWS resources? I like that. Dude, all of these, all of the above. All of them. All of them. As part of the business continuity... Yeah, all of them. As part of the business continuity plan of your company, your IT director instructed you to set up an automated backup of all the EBS volumes for your EC2 instances as soon as possible. What is the fastest and most cost-effective solution to automatically back up all the EBS? Create a scheduled job that calls the create snapshot command via AWS CLI. That sounds funny, but would work. Set your storage gateway with EBS. Set your storage gateway EBS volumes as the data source and store the backups in your on-premise service through the storage gateway. That would be cool too, but use an EBS cycle policy in Amazon S3 to automatically back up the EBS volumes. Use Amazon Data Lifecycle Manager to automate the creation of EBS snapshots. Data Lifecycle Manager. The fastest and most cost-effective solution? In Amazon S3. One of these two. I don't know if Data Lifecycle Manager is a thing. But if it is, then you might be able to get away with it. I would choose this, but this might be the right way. You are working for a commercial bank as an AWS infrastructure engineer handling the Forex trading application of the bank. You have an auto-scaling group of EC2 instances that allow your company to cope up with the current demand of traffic and achieve cost efficiency. You want the auto-scaling group to behave in such a way that it will follow a predefined set of parameters before it scales down the number of EC2 instances, which protects your system from unintended slowdown or unavailability. Which of the following statements are true regarding the cooldown period? It ensures that before the auto-scaling group scales out, the cooldown, the EC2 instances have ample time to cool down. It ensures that the auto-scaling group launches or terminates additional EC2 instances without any downtime. Without any downtime. I get, yeah. Ensures that the select all apply. Oh, damn. Ensures that the auto scaling group does not launch or terminate additional usage before the previous scaling activity takes effect. You want auto scaling group to behave in such a way that it will follow a predefined set of params before it scales down the number of instances, which protects your system from unintended slowdown or availability. Which of the following statements are true regarding the cooldown period? No. Launches or terminates additional EC2 instance without any downtime. Ensures that the auto-scaling group does not launch or terminate additional instances before the previous scaling activity takes effect. We're only talking about before it scales down. I don't know what the default is. 5 minutes maybe? I'm gonna pick one of these. I'm not sure. That's as good as I got. You are a solutions architect of a media company and you are instructed to migrate an on-premise web app architecture to AWS. During your design process, you have to give consideration to current on-prem security and determine which security attributes you are responsible for in AWS. Which of the following does AWS provide for you as part of the shared responsibility model? Physical network infrastructure. To protect your enterprise applications against unauthorized access, you configured multiple rules for your NACL and your VPC. How are the access rules evaluated? Are evaluated by rule number from highest to lowest and are executed immediately when the matching allow deny rule is found. Lowest to highest. And executed immediately when matching allow deny is found. NACL rules are evaluated by rule number from lowest to highest. The executed after all rules are checked for conflicting. By default, all NACL rules are evaluated before any traffic is allowed or denied. I don't know. I don't know. I would think they're evaluated. I'm gonna look this up. NACL evaluation. That we evaluate in order starting with the lowest number rule to determine whether traffic is allowed in or out. Highest number that you can use is 32766. We recommend that you start creating rules in increments. For example, 10 to 11. This sounds very familiar. So I looked that one up, but it's from lowest to highest. And executed immediately when a matching allowed deny rule is found. A network ACL contains a number list starting with the lowest number rule to determine whether traffic is allowed in or out of any subnet associated. The highest number okay. So I think from lowest to highest, but it says execute immediately. Yeah. Using the EC2 API, you requested 40 M5 large on-demand EC2 instances in a single availability zone. 20 instances were successful, but the other 20 failed. What is the solution for this issue, and what is the root cause? For new accounts, there's a supplement 20 EC2 instances per region. Submit an EC2 instance request form. You can only create 20 instances per availability zone. Select a different availability zone and retry creating. A certain inbound rule in your network access this prevent you create API credentials that you're using has a limit of 20 requests per hour. I think we need to request form to get more instances per region. You work for a brokerage firm as an AWS infrastructure engineer who handles stocks trading app. You host your database in an EC2 server with 2 EBS volumes for OS and data storage in app Southeast 1A. Due to fault tolerance requirements, there is a need to access the EBS volumes. There is a need to assess if the EBS volumes will be affected in the event of AP Southeast 1A availability zone outage. So you work for a brokerage firm, handle stocks. You host the database and EC2 server with 2 EBS volumes for the OS and data storage. And due to a fault tolerance requirements, there's a need to assess if EBS volumes will be affected in the event of availability zone outage. Can EBS tolerate an availability zone failure each and every time? I'm just gonna say yes. There across all the AZs. That's what I'm gonna say. YOLO. Your client is an insurance company that utilizes SAP HANA for their day-to-day ERP operations. Since you can't migrate this database due to customer preferences, you need to integrate it with your current AWS workload in your VPC, in which you are required to establish a site-to-site VPN connection. What needs to be configured outside of the VPC for you to have successful site-to-site VPN? A main route table in your VPC to route traffic through a NAT instance. But it says what needs to be configured outside of the VPC. Outside. These dedicated NAT instance in a public subnet. This is an internet routable IP address static of the customer gateway's external interface for the on-premise. And I'm gonna say this. Your company is running a multi-tier web application farm in a VPC that is not connected to their corporate network. They are connecting to the VPC over the internet to manage the fleet of Amazon EC2 instances. They are connected to the VPC over the internet to manage the fleet of Amazon EC2 instances running in both the public and private subnets. You have added a Bastion host with Microsoft Remote Desktop Protocol access to the application instance security groups. I've added a Bastion host with RDP access to the application instance security groups. Okay, but the company wants to further limit administrative access to all of the instances in the VPC. Which of the following Bastion host deployment options will meet this? So where did I put this? The following Bastion host deployment options will meet this requirement. But the company wants to further limit administrative access to all of the instances in the VPC. Deploy a Windows Bastion host on a corporate network that has RDP access to all these instances. Deploy a Windows Bastion host with elastic IP address in a private subnet and restrict RDP access to the Bastion from only corporate IP address. Deploy Windows Bastion host and restrict RDP access to them. Deploy a Windows Bastion host with elastic IP address in the public subnet and allow SSH access from the. Deploy a Windows Bastion host with the elastic IP address in the public subnet and allow RDP access to Bastion only from corporate, and restrict RDP access to the Bastion from only. I'll put in the public and then only corporate IP addresses. Deploy a Windows Bastion host on the corporate network that's our. Like that. That's it. For data privacy, a healthcare company has been asked to comply with the Health Insurance Portability HIPAA Accountability Act. They have been told that all the data being backed up or stored on Amazon S3 must be encrypted. What is the best option to do this? Everything stored or backed up on S3 must be encrypted. Or sending data to Amazon S3 over HPS, encrypt the data locally first. No, store the data. Choose two. Best options, okay. Store the data in EBS volumes. Store the data in encrypted EBS snapshots. Enable server-side encryption on the S3 bucket. I would do AES 256 encryption. I don't know if that's legit anymore. And then before sending data to Amazon S3 over HPS, encrypt the data locally first. Use your own encryption keys. I guess that's good too. All right. You're working for an online hotel booking firm with terabytes of customer data coming from your website and applications. There's an annual corporate meeting where you need to present the booking behavior and acquire new okay. There's an annual corporate meeting where you need to present the booking behavior and acquire new insights from your customers' data. You're looking for a service to perform super fast analytics. I'm going to use Redshift. You have set up a VPC with public subnet and an internet gateway. You set up an EC2 instance with a public IP as well. However, you are still not able to connect to the instance via internet. You checked its associated security group and it seems okay. What should you do to ensure you can connect to the EC2 instance from the internet? I already did that. You set up an EC2 instance with a public IP as well. That's just... I don't know, it says it has a public IP. I mean, then I'd be checking the route table. But I'm gonna go with this because I feel like a public IP is not the same as the elastic IP. But it's probably this. You're working for an advertising company as their senior solutions architect handling the S3 storage data. Your company has terabytes of data sitting on AWS S3 standard storage class, which accumulates significant operational cost, and management wants to cut down on the cost of their cloud infrastructure, so you are instructed to switch Glacier to lessen the cost per gigabyte storage. The Amazon Glacier storage service is used primarily for which case? Data archives. Archive database storage are active, no. A data warehouse? Infrequently access data. That's what I would do. Only choose two? Yeah. You're working for university as their AWS consultant. They want to have a disaster recovery strategy in AWS for mission critical apps after suffering a disastrous outage wherein they lost student and employee records. They don't want this to happen again, but at the same time want to minimize the monthly costs. You are instructed to set up minimum version of the app that is always available in case of any outages. Which of the following disaster recovery architectures is most suitable one to use in this scenario? Well, always available in that is always available in case of any outages. First, going back over restore. I don't know what pilot light is. Warm standby. They want to have a disaster recovery strategy for. It's gonna cost a lot less to just back up and restore than any of these, but it's not always gonna be available. Minimize monthly cost. You're instructed which of the following disaster recovery architecture is mostly they want what? Always available in case of any outages. You're instructed to set up a minimum version of the application that is always available. I don't know, this might be a good one for multi-site. I'm gonna go next. A startup company has an EC2 instance that is hosting a web app. The volume of users is expected to grow in the coming months, and hence you need to add more elasticity and scalability in your AWS architecture to cope with the demand. Which of the following options can satisfy the above requirement? Scalability and elasticity on the EC2 instance. Set up two EC2 instances and put them behind an ELB. That has nothing to do with scalability. Set up a cache in front of EC2. Set up two EC2 instances. Use roughly route traffic weighted. Set up a firewall. Set up two deployed using launch templates and integrated with AWS Glue. What the hell? Just an EC2 instance hosting a web app. Expected to grow, you need to add more elasticity and scalability. Pick up with the demand. What would you do? You either set up two instances and put them behind the ELB. Bless you. I don't know, I would say these two. The S3 cache in front of the EC2 instance and the... I don't even know if that's a real thing. I'm gonna try these two. An accounting application uses RDS database configured with multi-easy deployments to improve availability. What would happen to RDS if the primary database instance fails? The IP address of the primary DB instance is switched. The standby DB instance, the C name is switched from the primary to standby. I don't know if RDS works like that. A new database instance is created in the standard standby availability zone. I don't know if it works off IPs or C names, so I'm just gonna go IP addresses. You are a solutions architect working for a large insurance company that deployed their production environment on a custom VPC in AWS. With default configuration, the VPC consists of two private subnets and one public subnet. Inside the public subnet is a group of EC2 instances which are created by an autoscaling group, and all the instances are in the same security group. Your development team has created a new application which will be accessed by mobile devices via custom port. This application has been deployed to the production environment. You need to open this port globally to the internet. Which of the following is the correct procedure to meet this requirement? Open the customer port on the security group. Your EC2 instances will be able to use this port after 60 minutes. Open the custom port on the net in the security group immediately. Yeah. You are helping out a new DevOps engineer design her first architecture in AWS. She is planning to develop a highly available and fault-tolerant architecture which is composed of an elastic load balancer and an auto-scaling group of EC2 instances deployed across multiple AZs. This will be used by an online accounting application which requires TLS termination capabilities. Path-based routing, hosting-based routing, and bidirectional communication channels using WebSockets. Which of the following types of elastic load balancer would I recommend? Path-based routing, host-based routing, bidirectional using WebSockets. It said here Path-based routing, host-based routing. I'm gonna go either classic load balancer or network load balancer. Let me see the difference between classic versus network load balancer. Yeah, I'm gonna say both, man. Because this speaks layer 7, these probably speak layer 4. Layer 7 ALB, layer 4 ELB. Layer 4, yeah. A startup company that offers an intuitive financial data analytics service has consulted you about their AWS Arc. They have a fleet of EC2 worker instances that process financial data and then outputs reports which are used by their clients. You store the generated report files in a durable storage. The number of files to be stored can grow over time as a startup company is expanding rapidly overseas, and hence they also need a way to distribute the reports faster to clients located across the globe. Which of the following is a cost-effective and scalable storage option that you should use for this scenario? Not Redshift, not Glacier. Oh, I like that. S3 is the data storage and CloudFront is the CDN. Multiple EC2 instance stores. You know, S3 with the CDN of CloudFront. You are an IT consultant for an advertising company that is currently working for a proof of concept project that automatically provides SEO analytics for their clients. Your company has a VPC in AWS that operates in dual stack mode, in which IPv4 and IPv6 communication is allowed. You deploy the application to an autoscaling group of EC2 instances with an application load balancer in front that evenly distributes incoming traffic. You're ready to go live, but you need to point your domain name to the ALB. In Route 53, which record type? It's an alias. Alias with type A record set. San Francisco-based tech startup is building a cross-platform mobile app that can notify the user with upcoming astronomical events such as eclipses, boom booms. Your mobile app authenticates with the PIP or identity provider using the provider's SDK and Amazon Incognito. Which provider? A San Francisco-based tech startup is building a cross-platform mobile app that can. Your mobile app authenticates with the identity provider using the provider's SDK and Amazon Incognito. Once the end user is authenticated with the identity provider, the OAuth or OpenID Connect token returned from the IDP is passed by your app to Incognito. Which of the following is returned for the user to provide a set of temporary limited privilege AWS credentials? A key pair, I think. Definitely IAP, the SDK, maybe ID, but I think it's a key pair. Your customer is building an internal application that serves as a repository for images uploaded by a couple of users. Whenever a user uploads an image, it will be sent to Kinesis for processing before it is stored in an S3 bucket. Afterwards, if the upload was successful, the application will return a prompt telling. Afterwards, if the upload was successful, the application will return a prompt telling the user that the upload is successful. Your customer is building an internal application that serves as a repository. Whenever a user uploads, it's sent to Kinesis for processing before it is stored in an S3 bucket. Afterwards, if it was successful, the application will return a prompt telling the user that the upload is successful. The entire processing takes about 5 minutes to finish. Which of the following options will allow you to asynchronously process the request to the application in the most cost-effective manner? Well, okay, you upload something, it gets sent to Kinesis for processing before it is stored in an S3 bucket. Afterwards, if the upload was successful, application will return a prompt telling the user that the upload is successful. The entire process takes 5 minutes to finish. So upload, I guess, is all the way to S3 bucket. The entire process takes 5 minutes. Which of the following options will allow you to asynchronously process the request to the application in the most cost-effective manner? Use a combination of SQS to queue the requests and then asynchronously process them using on-demand EC2 instances. That'll be cool. Create a Lambda function that will asynchronously process the request. That's cool too. Cost-effective. Use a combination of Lambda and step functions to orchestrate service components and asynchronously process. Use a combination of SNS to buffer the requests and then asynchronously process them using on-demand EC2 instances. Use a combination of SQS to queue the requests and then asynchronously process them. I don't know what it means. AWS step functions lets you coordinate multiple data servers into serverless workflows so you can build and update apps quickly. Using step functions, you can design and run workflows that stitch together services such as Lambda, ECS into feature-rich applications, workflows. I like this one now. You have a cryptocurrency exchange portal which is hosted in an auto-scaling group of EC2 instances behind the ALB and are deploying across multiple AWS regions. Your users can be found all around the globe, but the majority are from Japan and Sweden. Because of the compliance requirements in these two locations, you want your JAP users to connect to servers in the AP Northeast 1, Asia Pacific, Tokyo region, while your Swedish users should be connected to servers in US West 1, EU West 1, Ireland region. Which of the following services would allow you to easily fulfill the requirement? So, EC2 instances behind an ALB across multiple regions. The Tokyo and Ireland ones. How do you get them routed to the right place? I would say this at this point. Geolocation routing policy. Review. Let's review. Ops work. You get pairs. Amazon EC2 uses public key cryptography. Private key uses public and private keys. Yeah, I didn't know that. Why? Cold HT volumes provide low-cost magnetic storage that defines performance in terms of throughput rather than IOPS. With a lower throughput limit than throughput optimized, HT is a good fit for ideal for large sequential cold data workloads. If you require infrequent access to your data and are looking to save costs, okay.
Police.
Hey man,
Put your hands up.
what's up, man?
Oh, mama.
I'm reviewing questions to the practice exam. I'm streaming. Give me a second. Give me an hour.
No.
In this scenario, the best option to use Amazon S3 is simple storage service, blah 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 blah. Because their services do not provide durable storage. And 2 is incorrect because it take more than 12 hours. Okay. As an AWS cloud consultant, blah 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 blah. If you're using AWS Lambda compute platform, you must choose one of the following deployment configs to specify how traffic is shifted from the original Lambda function version to the new AWS Lambda function version. Canary traffic is shifted in 2 increments. You can choose from predefined Canary options that specify the percentage of traffic shifted to your updated Lambda. Once layer, should be equal increments with an equal number of minutes between each increment. Okay. My music stopped playing.
Because it's illegal.
I don't do illegal music.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Create cloud watch alarms, instance metadata, groups and identity providers. Create a small EC2 which should have a security group for particular IP address for maximum security. This will block any SSH brute force attacks on your bastion host. It is also recommended to use small instance rather than large because this host will only act as a jump server. If I got all these beginning ones right, man, my last ones must be fucked.
What does it say? You put the average salary of AWS certs.
I don't know. Remember that since the instance is using RAID configuration, the snapshot process is different. You should stop all idle activity on the volumes before creating a snapshot. Hence, option 2 is correct. When you take a snapshot of an attached EBS volume that is in use, the snapshot excludes data cached by applications or the operating system. You don't need to detach volumes in the first place. Option 3 is incorrect. You don't need to create a new image. 4 is incorrect because there are missing steps in the process. You have to flush all caches. Alright. In a RAID array. Okay. AWS. EBS. If RAID, then must flush all disk caches. before snapshot. Okay. Storage gateway and RDS. Okay. In this scenario, it's best to create 2 separate SQS queues for each type of members. SQS queues for P members. Option 1 is correct. You cannot set priority. Cannot set priority to individual items in SQS queues. The answer was in the question. Ooh, which of the following most suitable solution? Upon checking, you found out the DynamoDB table used by Kinesis does not have enough capacity. In this scenario, stating SQS queue is configured with a maximum message retention. The maximum message retention is 14 days. That is why option 3 is the correct answer. There'll be no missing messages. Alright, great. Snowball. Oh, which one was this? Which of the following are valid points in proving that ABS is the best service for the migration? Amazon ABS volume is durable block level storage. You can attach the single EC2. You can use EBS volume as a primary storage for data that requires frequent updates to the system drive. For an instance or storage for database app. You can also use them for throughput intensive applications, blah 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 blah. Okay. AWS Snowball Edge is a type of snowball device with onboard storage and compute power for select AWS capable and can undertake local browser. What's up, man?
I just came back.
I'm almost done reviewing these. Oh lord.
Let's see. Oh, I need more. I need more space, basically. What I found out. What percentage did you get on the test?
A 61. I think I got higher last time.
Yeah, you got 66 last time.
How do you remember? That's true.
Oh, Dimitri cares that much to remember the test scores. That's a real friend.
I remember stupid stuff, man. Not important things. Like numbers and shit.
That's why I don't have memories of my my childhood.
Oh shit. Yeah, I have more memories of Durotard than my childhood, man. That's sad.
When's the war gonna break out, man? China v US.
Incorrect. Incorrect. Incorrectamundo.
Explanation. Autoscaling.
Can EBS tolerate an availability zone failure each and every time?
I'll run away if you'll get closer to who I am. Oh me, I know you all talk about me. Is this how you gon' play the game? Is this how you gon' play the game? It's darker than them darker days, darker clothes. Will you sell your soul for change?
It is automatically replicated within that zone only to prevent data loss due to failure of a single hardware component. Incorrect because the EBS snapshot, not the EBS volume, which is stored redundantly.
Let me come
If you cannot connect to your EC2 instance, even if there's already internet gateway in your VPN, there's no issue with security groups. You must check if the entries in the route table are properly configured. Option 1 is incorrect since you've already the public IP. Elastic IP, a public IP implies elastic IP. This will view public subnet and internet gateway. By using will public gateway, probably will connect you. Pilot light. The idea of a pilot light is an analogy that comes from a gas heater. A gas heater, a small flame is always on, can quickly ignite the entire furnace, speed up the hose, similar to the backup and restore scenario. For example, AWS can maintain a pilot light by configuring and running the most critical core elements of the system AWS. When the time comes for recovery, you can rapidly provision a full scale. Okay.
No. Shit, share.
Did you know Saigon fell? Crazy. Never heard of this.
The fuck is that?
What?
What? Elastic load balancing?
I need to remember this. Well, choose 2.
You didn't choose to?
Yeah, I need to remember that.
That sucks. If, like, the main test has questions like that, right? Choose 2, choose 4, choose 3.
Yeah. If Cognito returns Cognito ID after auth with identity provider. My music stopped again.
Dimitri, you like war movies?
I used to like war movies. I don't not like war movies, but I haven't seen any lately.
Well, I mean,
That-
World War II.
Saving Private Ryan,
Yeah,
The
you remember-
Patriot, what else?
for Saving Private Ryan.
Matt Damon getting out.
Yeah, and then like it starts on like them landing at the beach.